All right, so are you ready to like dive back into this whole 50 Cent Vivica A. Fox thing?
Oh, yeah. It never really seems to end, does it? Always something popping up.
Right. Like it feels like we've seen this movie before.
Exactly. Like we know how this song and dance goes.
This time, it's all starting with rumors of Vivica A. Fox getting a BBL.
At 60, yeah. I mean, that's what got everyone talking.
And the fans are like all over it, you know?
Going crazy online.
Of course, 50 Cent had to chime in.
Had to get his 2 cents in.
Right. Which is what we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah.
Like, all this is coming from a Hip Hop DX article.
Yeah, they broke down 50's whole reaction to all this.
And it's quite a reaction.
It is.
So, if you'd like to set this up for people who haven't been following every single detail.
Right.
50 Cent and Vivica A. Fox, they dated back in 2003.
Yeah, briefly. But it's been this whole saga ever since.
Yeah. Like, it's been on and off, and they're always like
Going back and forth.
probably like in the headlines.
It's juicy.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, everyone's kind of watching going, what's going to happen next? So now you've got this BBL rumor, and 50's like all over social media with some pretty wild comments.
Like, what are some of the things he's saying?
Oh, he's dropping lines like, I ain't gonna lie, that booty was good though, I think.
Okay, that's classic 50 right there.
Right.
Like, he always has to be a little suggestive.
Uh-huh. I mean, part of me is like, okay, that's just 50 being 50.
Yeah. Like, he's a troll. He loves to push buttons.
Right.
But then it also gets you thinking.
Yeah. Like, is it all just fun and games, or is there something more?
Yeah. Like, is there some real shade being thrown here? Especially given their history.
That's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
Right. It's not just some random internet feud. It's like these two people have this whole past romantic entanglement.
Exactly. Like, all that baggage is being brought back up.
Yeah. So his comments about her appearance, they hit different.
Totally. It adds this whole other layer of meaning to it all.
Like, is he being playful? Is he being bitter? Is he trying to get under her skin?
It's hard to know. Like, I mean, maybe he's just trolling, like you said.
Yeah. That's a big part of how celebrities operate online these days.
Right. Like, it's almost like a performance.
Totally. It's about provoking a reaction, getting people talking.
And 50 Cent is a master at that.
Oh, yeah. He knows exactly what he's doing.
But that line between harmless teasing and genuine disrespect.
Yeah, it can get blurry.
Especially in this case. Like, I mean, Vivica A. Fox, she's called him out before for the way he talks about women.
Yeah. Like, that's a whole other layer to this.
It is. The article even mentions how she specifically criticized him for perpetuating these harmful stereotypes.
About black women.
Exactly.
Like, she's not just letting this slide, you know?
No, she's been vocal about it. Like,
Yeah.
there was that whole thing with his comments on Lil Wayne's Young Money radio show.
Oh, yeah. Where he was talking about how black women get angry when he dates women who look exotic.
Ugh, I remember that.
That didn't go over well.
No. And it feeds into these really problematic ideas.
About black women and how they're perceived, like the whole angry black woman trope.
Yeah, it's damaging.
It is. And for her to call him out on that, it takes guts.
So we've got their personal history, 50 Cent's public image, all these bigger issues of race and gender dynamics all swirling around.
Yeah. It's complicated.
It is. It's like this one little story about a BBL rumor.
Uh-huh.
But it opens up all these bigger questions about how we view celebrities, how social media shapes narratives.
Yeah. And who has the power in these situations?
It's making me think about our role in all this too.
The audience.
Yeah. Like, are we just passively watching this drama unfold? Or are we actively contributing to it in some way?
That's a good question. Like, are we part of the problem?
Maybe. Like by giving it attention, by clicking on the articles, by commenting.
We're feeding the machine.
Exactly. And that machine, it often runs on these harmful stereotypes and oversimplified narratives.
Yeah. So it's on us to be more aware of that.
To think critically about what we're consuming.
And to maybe challenge those narratives when we see them.
So yeah, it all started with a BBL rumor.
Uh-huh.
But it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is.
And it's messy and complicated.
Yeah. But it's also fascinating.
Totally. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Right. Like, it's not just about the gossip. It's about what this whole thing says about us as a society.
About our obsession with celebrity culture. About how we engage with these complex issues online.
Yeah, and how we can maybe do better.
Okay, so we've talked about 50 Cent's reaction.
Yeah.
We talked about the larger context.
Right?
But what about Vivica A. Fox?
What about her?
Like, what's her take on all this?
Well, the article also mentions how she hasn't exactly ruled out getting back together with 50.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's wild, right?
I thought she was criticizing him.
She is. But then there are these hints that maybe she still has feelings for him.
Whoa. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Me too. Like, what's going on in her head?
Right. Like, is she playing the media? Is she genuinely conflicted?
That's what we need to figure out.
Let's dive into that.
All right, let's do it. It's like, you wonder how much of this is real with celebrities, you know?
Yeah. Like, are they really like this, or are they just putting on a show?
Right. Like, is it genuine, or is it all just for the cameras and the followers and all that?
I mean, especially these days with social media.
Oh, totally. Like, they're constantly performing for this massive online audience.
And that audience, it has a lot of power.
Oh, huge. You know? Like, they can make or break a celebrity's career.
Yeah. And it creates this weird dynamic where celebrities are almost afraid to be themselves.
Because they're so worried about how it's going to be perceived online.
And then you've got someone like 50 Cent, who's built his whole career on being provocative.
Yeah, he's like the king of controversy.
And it works for him.
It does, because he knows how to play the game.
He knows how to get people talking.
Exactly. So his words, they have this extra weight to them.
Because of his status and influence?
Right. Like, even if he's joking.
People take it seriously.
Because it's 50 Cent saying it, you know?
Yeah. So it's not just about what he says.
It's about who's saying it.
And the platform they have to say it on.
Right. Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so tricky.
Because on the one hand,
he's entertaining.
He is. Like, he's funny, and he's not afraid to push boundaries.
Right.
But on the other hand,
he's reinforcing these really harmful stereotypes.
About women in general.
Especially black women.
Yeah. Like, we can't just ignore that.
No. Because words have power.
And those stereotypes, they have real-world consequences.
It's not just harmless fun, you know?
No, it's not. Like, it affects how people are treated, how they're seen by the world.
It limits their opportunity.
Yeah, and it perpetuates this cycle of inequality.
So, like, how do we reconcile that?
Yeah. How do we enjoy celebrity gossip?
Which, let's face it, is entertaining.
It is.
But also acknowledge that it can be harmful.
That's the question, isn't it? Like, can we separate the two?
I don't know.
Me neither.
It's tough.
I mean, I think the first step is awareness.
Right. Like, recognizing that these dynamics exist.
And that our own engagement with this kind of content,
it can be part of the problem.
So maybe it's about being more mindful.
Yeah. About what we consume. About what we give our attention to.
And about how we talk about these issues.
Because even if we're not the ones making the offensive jokes,
just laughing along,
it can still be harmful.
Yeah. It's like we're complicit in a way.
Right. So we have to be more conscious.
Okay, so we've talked about 50's role in this.
Uh-huh.
But I'm still stuck on Vivica's response.
Oh, yeah. The whole, like, will they, won't they thing.
Yeah. Like, she's criticizing him.
But then she's also saying she might get back together with him.
It's so confusing.
Right. Like, is she playing us?
Is she playing him?
Is she playing herself?
I have no idea.
I think it speaks to how complicated relationships can be.
Especially when they're playing out in the public eye.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, imagine having your every move scrutinized by millions of people.
I would lose my mind.
It's got to be so much pressure.
Yeah. So maybe Vivica is just trying to figure things out.
In her own time.
And on her own terms.
Yeah. And maybe she's using the situation to her advantage.
Like playing the media a little bit.
Maybe. Celebrities do that all the time.
Because it keeps them relevant.
It does, and the media needs them too.
Right. It's this symbiotic relationship.
Where they kind of feed off each other.
And we're the ones getting fed all this drama.
Exactly. Like, we're the ones consuming it.
And our attention is what fuels this whole machine.
So maybe the answer is to just...
I'm watching.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or at least to be more critical of what we're watching.
To think about the bigger picture.
And to not just accept these narratives at face value.
Yeah. Because there's always more to the story.
Always.
Okay, so like we've got 50 Cent with his whole bad boy image, and then Vivica A. Fox trying to navigate their past and, you know, her career and everything.
Yeah, and it's interesting how something that seems like just silly celebrity gossip can actually bring up all these important topics, like race, gender power dynamics, you know?
Right. Like it all connects to bigger issues we're dealing with as a society.
Yeah, and it shows how we can't just brush off celebrity culture as meaningless, you know? Like, it reflects and reinforces what's happening in the real world.
So when 50 makes those jokes about black women, it's not just a joke, you know?
No, definitely not. It feeds into those harmful stereotypes that have real consequences for black women.
Right. And it's not just about them as individuals.
It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah, like those stereotypes, they become part of how we see and treat each other.
And that's why I think these conversations are so important. Like, we need to really dissect these stories and see what's underneath.
To understand the deeper issues.
Exactly. Because once you see those connections, you can't unsee them.
And hopefully it makes us more aware.
Yeah, like more conscious of the content we consume and the narratives we're supporting.
So going back to Vivica, like, how do we make sense of her reactions to 50 Cent?
I mean, it's probably a mix of things, right?
Yeah, like part of me thinks she's playing the game.
Oh, definitely. She's smart. She knows how to get attention.
But then there's that other part.
Like maybe she really does still have feelings for him.
Yeah, I mean, they did have a real connection at one point.
It's hard to just turn that off, you know?
So maybe she's genuinely conflicted,
Yeah, trying to figure out what she wants.
all while having to deal with the media and the public and everything.
Right. It's not easy being in the spotlight like that.
It makes you wonder if there's a way for celebrities to be both authentic and responsible.
I mean, I think it starts with being aware of the influence they have, you know?
Like recognizing that their words and actions have power.
Yeah, because they're not just representing themselves, they're representing bigger ideas and communities.
So it's about using that platform for good.
Yeah, to challenge those harmful narratives and be a voice for positive change.
So what do we want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think the big thing is to be critical consumers of celebrity culture, you know?
Like, don't just passively watch the drama unfold.
Right, ask questions, challenge the narratives.
Think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, like what are the underlying messages? What are the power dynamics at play?
Because these stories, they're not just about the individuals
They reflect who we are as a society.
and the values we hold.
So let's use these moments to have important conversations about race, gender, the media.
About how we can do better.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been real.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.